Well, good morning. Welcome to Saturday's edition of Daily Videos with me. Today is July 25th, and I do hope everyone is out there doing okay and has had a good week. So let's get right into it with prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. You know, prayer is a very important thing, and at least for me. And it is something that centers me and helps me through the days, especially during these crazy days that we find ourselves all living in. And so I do hope all of you, whether or not you have a faith, but I do hope you have something that grounds you, that helps you get through the days. For me, my faith is what grounds me. So I do hope all of you have something like that in your life. And so let's get right into it with Hunger Games, shall we? So let's hear what's happening with Katniss and Peeta. I'm not really sure how to ramp up the romance. The kiss last night was nice, but working up to another will take some forethought. There are girls in the seam, some of the merchant girls too, who navigate these waters so easily, but I've never had much time or use for it. Anyway, just a kiss isn't enough anymore, clearly, because if it was, we'd have gotten food last night. My instincts tell me Haymitch isn't just looking for physical affection. He wants something more personal, the sort of stuff he was trying to get me to tell about myself when we were practicing for the interview. I'm rotten at it, but Peeta's not. Maybe the best approach is to get him talking. Peeta, you said at the interview you had a crush on me forever. When did forever start? Oh, let's see. I guess the first day of school. We were 5. You had on a red plaid dress, and your hair, it was in 2 braids instead of 1. My father pointed you out when you were waiting to line up. Your father? Why? See that little girl? My dad said I wanted to marry her mother, but she ran off with a coal miner. What? You're making that up. No, true story. And I said, a coal miner? Why does she want a coal miner if she could have had you? And he said, because when he sings, even the birds stop to listen. That's true, they do. I mean, they did, I say. I'm stunned and surprisingly moved, thinking of the baker telling this to Peeta. It strikes me that my own reluctance to sing my own dismissal of music might not really be what I think is a waste of time. It might be because it reminds me too much of my father. So that day in music assembly, the teacher asked who knew the Valley song. Your hand shot right up in the air. She stood you up on the stool and had you sing it for us, and I swear every bird outside the windows fell silent, Peeta said. Oh, please. No, it happened, and right when your song ended, I knew, just like your mother, I was a goner. Then for the next 11 years, I tried to work up the nerve to talk to you. Without success. Yeah. So in a way, my name being drawn in the reaping was a real piece of luck, says Peeta. For a moment, I'm almost foolishly happy, and then confusion sweeps over me, because we're supposed to be making up this stuff, playing at being in love, not actually being in love. But Peeta's story has a ring of truth to it. That part about my father and the birds, and I did sing the first day of school, although I don't remember the song. In that red plaid dress, there was one, a hand-me-down to Prim, that got washed to rags after my father's death. It would explain another thing, too, why Peeta took a beating to give me the bread on that awful hollow day. So if those details are true, could it all be true? You have a remarkable memory, I say. I remember everything about you, said Peeta, tucking a loose strand of hair behind my ear. You're the one who wasn't paying attention. I am now. Well, I don't have much competition here. I want to draw away to close those shutters again, but I know I can't. It's as if I can hear Haymitch whispering in my ear. Say it, say it. I swallow hard and get the words out. You don't have much competition anywhere. And this time it's me who leans in. Our lips have just barely touched when the clunk outside makes us jump. My bow comes up, the arrow ready to fly, but there's no other sound. Peeta peers through the rocks, then gives a whoop. A whoop! Before I can stop him, he's out in the rain, then handing something in to me. A silver parachute attached to a basket. I rip it open at once, and inside there's a feast. Fresh rolls, goat cheese, apples, and best of all, a tureen of that incredible lamb stew on wild rice. The very dish I told Caesar Flickerman was the most impressive thing the capital had to offer. Peeta wiggles back inside, his face lit up like the sun. I guess Haymitch finally got tired of watching us starve. I guess so. But in my head, I can hear Haymitch's smug, if slightly exasperated words. Yes, that's what I'm looking for, sweetheart. So that's the end of that chapter. So what's going to happen with our two star-crossed lovers, Peeta and Cadmus? So I do hope, as I said, I hope during these days, it's important to find things that bring you joy, that bring you laughter, and living in the, finding things even in the here and now. But also, if it brings you laughter, just to reminisce and as well. Because these are unprecedented times. None of us have been here before through a pandemic. And it is almost like a scene from a movie, but yeah, here we are. So anyway, my friends, I'm saying a lot. It makes me think of How I Met Your Mother. One of the characters said a lot when she was a newscaster, and they turned it into a drinking game. But anyway, let's get right into John Pavlovitz. Our blog for today is, Why Do You Stand Behind Cruelty? So let's hear what he has to say for stuff that needs to be said. You are a mystery to me. I watch you standing there with wide-eyed, breathless adoration, and I simply can't fathom how you ended up there in that spot. What it is you are feeling in that moment, how this has become a voice with which you feel affinity. Why are you here? I never stand behind someone who makes fun of stutters. I never stand behind someone who uses a person's physical appearance as a slur. I never stand behind someone who speaks about women as though they are things. I never stand behind someone who mocks people with disabilities. I never stand behind someone who exploits racial and ethnic stereotypes. I never choose such a person as a friend, let alone choose them to make decisions regarding hundreds of millions of people, or to represent me in the world, or to shape the place my children call home. And the reason has nothing at all to do with politics. It's a human decency thing. I never do these things because as a Christian, I was raised to treat people with dignity. I was taught they deserve solely unique human beings, fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. I was raised to believe that I was fortunate to be born where I was born, with the advantages I have, and surrounded by the love I was surrounded by, and inside the healthy body I inhabited, and that I should remember many people were not, and that this makes life more difficult for them. I was raised to look for the uncomfortable people on the periphery and to welcome them in, to make them feel seen and heard, to reduce the loneliness they experience, to help them feel less isolated than they usually do. I was taught to defend bullied people, to befriend the vulnerable, and to extend kindness in a way that makes someone else's load lighter, because life is heavy and it's difficult on its best day. I was taught that compassion is the better path, or in plain language, not to be a jerk. What were you taught that was so different? I also grew up knowing that you can't believe one thing while saying another, that your actions ultimately declare what you value despite what you claim to value with words, that if your personal faith is never tangibly embodied in your daily life, it is simply a showy, dressed-up corpse. As an adult, I've interpreted this to mean that your politics reveal who you are, that you vote for people you agree with, who reflect your heart, who share your values, who speak for you, people who in some significant way embody you. When you hear him speak, how can you identify as a kindred spirit? Our politics aren't some detached entities that exist apart from our moral convictions and our personal values. Rather, our politics are direct extensions of them. We choose human beings to represent us in the world, those who do and say what we would do and say if we had the power and position they have. I really wonder why you've chosen this man to speak for you. I wonder about the slurs and the taunts and the nicknames and the explicitives, and the viciousness feels congruent with the way you see the world. I wonder what vicarious impulse you express through him when he provokes people he has power over, especially when they are at their most vulnerable. I wonder how the continual stream of vengeful attacks on already marginalized communities gives voice to something you harbor in the deepest recesses of your heart. I wonder why this hatred is something with which you feel solidarity. You tell me you're not a mean-spirited person, that you don't harbor hatred in your heart, that you have no desire to see people hurt, and I want to believe you. But this alliance is a serious disconnect. For some reason, you stand proudly behind cruelty. You cheer it on when it generates pain for people. You laugh when it makes jokes at the expense of others' misery. You amen its ever lowering bottom. You applaud when it strains wildly to outdo itself in falsehoods. What does it say about your understanding of Jesus? What does it echo about the way you see people? What does it say about the fear you fight every day to push back? What does it say? What does it reveal about the value you see in those who don't look or speak or love or believe the way you do? Try as I might, I simply can't understand it from where I am. Tell me why you stand behind cruelty. And I think we all know, at least in my opinion, who he's talking about. And I've said it before. I don't get it. Trump has been our president for 4 years, and I've yet to see any redeeming qualities in him. And it is heartbreaking. And it scares me to my core to think that he could be reelected. So it's just, I guess I just don't get people who are so pro-Trump. I don't know. That's just my opinion. That's just my beliefs. I know that you could, I just, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I guess I can even understand a little bit why people at first voted for him. Because of he's a business person, right? And thinking he would do good for the economy. And I guess where I really get confused is, why do people still continue to support him? I just see what's happened in our country in the last 4 years, and it royally sucks. So anyway, sorry, get off on tangent. John Pavlovitz says what needs to be said, right? And I admire him for that. A lot of what this book is about just Christianity and his own thoughts. So I applaud you, John. So anyway, that's just my thinking out loud. I hope you have a blessed day, and just know, whoever you are, just know that you are loved. God bless you.